I want to talk about the value and importance of repetition. Now, I know that learning a new instrument can be overwhelming. And I know that sometimes it feels like you're never going to actually learn that one song that you really want to learn, right? Well, guess what? I think that feeling is probably a lot more common than you realize. I think that self-doubt is something that most, if not all, musicians struggle with at some point in their lives. Self-doubt is something that some musicians struggle with their entire lives and ends up ruining them. I think that there are a couple simple things to keep in mind while practicing that can help if you start to feel overwhelmed. Repetition is incredibly important. It's a tool that can help improve your playing technique, help build muscle memory, and help develop discipline. So what exactly do I mean by repetition? Well, I think the most obvious use of repetition is when we learn a song, we play it multiple times in a row, right? For me, I feel like it takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes to warm up once I actually grab my bass and start playing. So if I'm learning a song intensively, I'll play it once or twice just to warm up, and then you play it a couple more times after that. And then, when you're learning a song, repetition is such an important thing to do to just really learn phrases, right? So when I first started playing the bass, one of the first songs that I really, really wanted to learn how to play was Limelight by Rush. Now, that's obviously not a song that's like for beginners. It's probably a song that I should have waited a little bit to learn how to play, but I'm sure you know that feeling if you've ever learned how to play an instrument where you hear like that one song and you're like, oh my god, if I could just learn how to play that, it would just be so incredible. So Limelight was that song for me. So Limelight opens up with this B chord, right? And when I first started learning how to play it, that stretch I thought I wouldn't be able to do, right? I have small hands by design, which for a bass player is not great, but that's okay. I can still learn how to play. If you have small hands, you can totally still learn how to play the bass. It's just about over time, with repetition, your hands start to get more flexible. Anyways, when I first started, that was difficult for me. And then going down to the A, so I just repeat that over and over again. My head's telling me, my head is yelling at me the whole time saying that sounds awful, you're going to have to record it again. My head's telling me all these things, but that's what you got to try to block out and just repetition over and over again. And sometimes I'll sit there and play that for, minutes at a time, and sometimes that's what it takes. When you're learning to play an instrument and when you're learning how to play a song on that instrument, there's kind of a muscle memory that your brain has to develop and has to kind of imprint into your hands. Now, in my experience, a really amazing thing happens when you're learning a song. Sometimes when you're learning a phrase, you can feel your brain working on overtime, and then you go and sleep and come back the next day to practice again. That movement that you learned the day before should now be a little bit easier. It's because your brain is literally imprinting the knowledge into your muscles. And so that takes a lot of practice. When you see a musician on stage that you really admire, someone that's playing a song that you just love and it looks great and it sounds great, it's not because that musician has some incredible gift. I'm sure that they are very talented, but that musician has likely played that song over and over and over and over again in order to get to that level of skill. I think that there's kind of a misconception that talented musicians just kind of are naturally gifted with these abilities. And don't get me wrong, there are certain people who are just naturally inclined to be great musicians. There's no doubt about that. But there's the other component in there of practice and discipline and having patience with yourself that I personally think is undervalued sometimes. There is so much value in repetition and also having patience. I feel like any lesson that I give could be whatever the lesson is and patience, because at least in developing musicality and in learning an instrument, it's vitally important. Make repetition part of your daily practice habits. If you really want to become proficient at an instrument, you should practice every single day. If you get overwhelmed, that's okay. Just try not to compare yourself to musicians that you admire, because they've had a lot of hours and they've likely put a lot of work into their sound and their technique. That requires discipline, repetition, and patience. I know that if you practice every day, you will start to sound better. If you got this far into the video, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.